Okay. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. Um, you've reached Fight CPS with your host Bob Pace, and it's a warm welcome. And I know most of you right now are probably still early in the day, but I'm here to welcome you all and to help you with your CPS matter. It's something that you've been going through. So, now this is a live stream that you found me on Fighting CPS. I'm on at 10 a.m. in the morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on the weekend in the morning. In the evening, I'm on every night of the week, all 7 days at 7 p.m. Those times are times that are Pacific Standard Time. That's on the west coast of California. So I've been doing this for 18 months. And I've spoken to over 1,500 people. And 22 countries, with the newest country being the Republic of Congo. And then I've also talked to all 50 states, and I've also talked to the District of Columbia. This is a worldwide broadcast, and people from Africa or Europe or the Middle East or Asia or the United States can hear me talk about CPS. It's also a worldwide epidemic of the rogue CPS entities out there. Now, I'm not saying that all CPS is bad, but a lot of them are bad. And I want to welcome Christine Wilson. I'll let you be on today. I'll be on to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Christine Wilson, are you from Pennsylvania? I forgot where you're from. I know you were talking to me yesterday. But are you from Pennsylvania or North Carolina? I can't remember one of the two places that you're on there. But I hope you have a question for me or a story to tell me, because I'd love to talk to you and help you with your CPS matter. Now, as I say, I talk to a lot of people about their CPS case. I try to help them because I once was involved in CPS myself. I've been fighting them for 15 years, and I had a terrible case of CPS. It was really terrible. And I experienced everything that could go wrong in CPS. They stole or trafficked our children into foster care, and they weren't in danger. They weren't in danger. And that's the sad thing about it, because there are bad ones. And the ones I was involved in was Orange County Child Protection Service in California. They're bad. They put us parents and my children through hell. That was all because of a false allegation by a layperson. my in-laws, my wife's father, mother, three sisters and brother would call once a week for 5 years from 2010 to 2015, saying that we were doing awful things to our children, which weren't true, like not feeding them, not taking them to school, not paying utility bills, no have no food, terrible things they'd come up with once a week. And I'd meet with them and diffuse them, hang them in my house. And they could see we had food in the refrigerator and so forth. But this went on for 5 years. And finally, they said that CPS had enough. And so they called the police department. And the police department got a detective to find out my habits, where I pick up my children and everything. So he followed me. Then I was pulled over. And if I knew now what I knew back then, I would never have stopped. I would have just kept going. Now, I was pulled over for a fabricated moving violation. Suppose I didn't stop at the stop sign long enough that was 3 miles back. Usually a police officer that's fully trained will usually pull over you right away if you committed an infraction. They don't wait for 15 minutes later. But the detective knew I wouldn't stop for an unmarked car, so he had the guy pull over. And as soon as the guy came to my window, he told me I was expected ticket. Instead, the detective came in and said that he ordered me to come home and open my house. I said, no, I need to pick up my wife. She's waiting for me. And I should have done that. I should have said, either write me a ticket for the moving violation, I'll fight it in court, or you let me go. But instead, he ordered me home, and waiting at me was a hot nest of troublemakers. CPS was so frustrated, they brought out the whole army with them. They brought out 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detectives, all standing in my little island out front of my home and wanting to go inside and find something. So I led them in my home, and of course they were dressed in their combat gear, and they tracked dirt and mud through the carpet, through the house. They marched upstairs. One of the policemen wanted to look out the window at the beautiful backyard and broke the rattan chair, the white rattan chair, and his footprints all over it. They don't care. They're like animals, all of them. And the firemen decided to measure the smoke detectors, to test them, to see where the fire extinguishers were. The code enforcement was trying to find something wrong with our home, see if the door was secured and there was a gate and perimeter fence around the pool in the back. The social workers were looking through the refrigerator and the cupboards of food and stuff. So I don't know what they were trying to find, but there was food in the refrigerator and food in the cupboards. But sadly, they were, searching through the home. They saw the children's bedrooms. Each had their own bedroom, and it was organized. The children's part was well organized and clean. Where were the children? They're in school. They're safely in school. So they rounded up our kids based on false allegations and charged both parents with negligence. Why? Well, they didn't like the way that I was organizing my parents' furniture and boxes. I had used the living room because I first put it on a pallet because my dad had died. My mom wanted everything out of the house, and they were selling the house, a quick sale of the house. And so I had their belongings, their 55 years of marriage, 3,000 square foot of belongings into our home. And the way I had them stacked in the living room was unacceptable to the standards of CPS. They say those boxes could fall and hurt a child. Now, the boxes were no taller than the children were themselves, so I don't know how the box could fall. I don't know how a box can fly upstairs and attack the children in their bedroom, or furniture can run upstairs. But that's what they came up with. And then the policeman wrote his report, sent it to the district attorney, and then they decided to put criminal charges. The same thing that CPS charges negligence, 3 counts, 1 for each child. And then they decided to put sexual counts. Now, this is ridiculous. There's nothing sexual going on with the family. And they wouldn't tell you what the details were. Later, I found out that was a bargaining chip so they could make those go away to do a plea bargain. That's what they wanted to do. That's what the city does. They're corrupt as much as the child preserving. And they're a government entity, so I don't know what to trust. It's a hard thing to deal with CPS. And Christopher Wilson, if you could tell me where you're from, that'd be great. She's the first person that come in here. And I'd like to hear about your case, Christopher. Now, I'm not here to talk about my case, but it was awful. Our kids were hurt in foster care, both physically and mentally. There's really terrible, terrible things happen. You all know it. You've been there. CPS is corrupt. And the only way you're going to fight them is you get a qualified attorney. The public defenders that the CPS encourages you to use are not worth anything. They're criminal attorneys. They know nothing in background in juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. They don't have that background. Plus, they work for CPS, and the CPS is loading up with 30 or more cases. So they don't have time for you or time for your case, and they won't win your case. They just want to get it over with. So you're messed up. My wife tried 2 different public defenders. Neither one of them worked out. My public defender barely talked to me. She was just always at court, and her only time was to talk just before the hearing. And the sad part is they don't let you or your wife in there. They hear all the proceedings, so you know what is said or done. So with that being said, and being done there, we were history. We were really history because they did everything they could humanly possible to drag it on. I finally sold my home and got money to hire an attorney. And his name is Vincent W. Davis. And he got back my 2 boys, but our daughter was gone forever. What happened there was a long story. But CPS does retaliate. They did. They retaliated on our daughter. They told us, both parents, that you're never going to see your daughter again. The child protection system, the entity there in Orange County, CPS, the social worker, whose background was terrible, didn't even have a high school education, had no training. She's young. She has no experience with dealing with families. But she committed perjury. Our attorney, Vincent Davis, caught her lying. She was testifying about my wife and her sister and husband that wanted to adopt our children. And that was sad. He had did his homework, and he was trying to catch the social worker with lies. He asked the social worker, are they good parents? And the social worker says, yes, they're great parents. Then he took out a folder in his briefcase and thumbed through it. And then he looked at the social worker, was there any domestic violence? And the social worker said, no, they're great parents. Well, Mr. Davis started reading reports after reports from the police of domestic violence. Not only domestic violence, it's physical domestic violence where they're hitting one another and arguing. So that's not the environment you bring up a child. So our attorney had won the case, but he lost the war because what she did is she told those parents, you're never going to see your daughter again. And she took upon herself to encourage her daughter to emancipate because she can do it legally at 12 in California. So she divorced mom and dad, divorced her 3 brothers, her 2 sisters, her both sets of grandparents, her aunts and cousins, and uncles. Divorce them all, emancipate. And then on top of that, when she divorced them, divorced us, she had her change her name. She had a beautiful name, the middle name Hanalei, a lovely place in Kauai. I call the Garden of Eden. So she completely changed her name, her first, middle, and last. Then the social worker says you need to seal your birth certificate. So you get a new birth certificate issued with the foster parents as the new mom and dad. So how can that be the case with the new mom and dad? It is hard. It is hard when you lose your child that you raised for 12 years. You know, in the early stages where you take care of your child, you go to their events, you participate in all their activities. And then you realize that she no longer is going to be a part of you. It was a terrible thing when she divorced you. They didn't stop there. She also got a new Social Security card, and she double dipped. She was already getting money from my Social Security retirement because as an older parent, you get additional Social Security income from children under the age of 18. So she was getting that money. Of course, she wasn't getting it. The foster care parents were getting it. But then they had the second Social Security card, so she was double dipping. She got both of them. She got both of the Social Security. And that's hard to swallow. That here it is, the child protection system is cheating Social Security, cheating them out of money. That's my money, the money that I worked, for 60 some years and put in all that hard work to get that money. That money's already been taxed. It's my money. But what does it do? It goes to the foster care people. They're double dipping in my retirement. And the foster care people together were making $500,000 a year. That's one of the reasons why she picked it, because she knew she'd get her Disneyland pass. She knew she could get all the things that we couldn't provide her, because when I lost my job in 2010, I had to revert to a Spartan lifestyle. And that's bad because, when a family's used to getting all these nice things and you suddenly take away the allowance, like I was giving my wife $200 a week. And then I was buying the kids everything that they want at Christmas. Spoiled them. Anyway, that's enough of my story here. I'm here to help you all. And Lush Doit, thank you very much for coming in. And also Christina Reynosa, Christina Reynosa, welcome. And hello, Betty Joe from Montana. We have Christina Reynosa from California. Now, Christine Wilson, I have no idea where you're from, but I appreciate you informing me. Now, Lush Doit, hey, how you doing today, Bob? Well, thank you very much. I'm hanging in there. I did get a little bit of the money that was owed me last Friday. After 4 weeks, no money for my paychecks, I got some chump change to pay one of my biggest bills, which is my car registration. But I couldn't complete it. Now I have to go to the DMV today because there's something glitchy about it. Anyway, I'm trying to hang in there, Lou Dow. If you know any tricks to get paid when you work, that's one thing sad. is to go 4 weeks and not getting paid. And when you get paid, you're given 1/8 of what is owed to you. I mean, I need to buy medicine for my wife. I need to buy, nice things. Anyway, I want to thank all the emojis you guys are giving me. Thank you so much. The hearts from Colleen Cox, Dorothy Cook from North Carolina, and Christina Renoza. An awful looking face, a scary face. I know you're sort of hearing that things, but I'm here to help you all. I really am. I'm here to help you all. Now, there are some things that you can do right now, such as you are starting to text, which is great. Text me a message. It can either be a comment or a question. It should pertain to CPS. Please state your first name, your city, or your county, and your state. And if you're from another country, your country. Also, please tell me about your CPS case from the beginning to where you're at. A second thing you can do is you can be a guest on my live stream. All you have to do is give my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com an email with the day and the time you want to be on my 14 shows, one of my 14 shows. You put on, I want to be Bob's Saturday morning show. I want to be Bob's Friday evening show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Tuesday evening show. You pick one of the 14 shows, send an email to Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she'll send you a link to get on StreamYard. It's a software application I'm using on YouTube. And that's all to it. So you can text me a message, or you can be on my guest on my live stream. Also, I'm putting my number up right now. Call right now at 626-698. Whoops, that's the wrong number. I apologize. We'll try it again. It's 626-698-0990. That's my office number, and I'm available for phone calls during this live stream. We can talk about your case. Also, I make calls from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning, and from 11 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon of potential new clients. If you're interested in hiring Mr. Davis, please call me, and I'll set you up with him. He's an excellent attorney. He's been practicing law for 39 years. He is trained and educated in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. He has 39 years of fighting CPS. That's a long time. He's also a trial attorney. Furthermore, he's done civil lawsuits against CPS and won millions of dollars based on civil claims, based on constitutional or your civil rights being violated. So he's a pit bull of attorney. So he's a real deal. And the number of the law office is 888-888-6582. There you can reach him, and you want to ready to hire him, he's ready to go. He works out of Arcadia, but he'll go anywhere to defend CPS. His retainer for LA County is $5,000. He's a $500 an hour attorney. Now, for other areas, he has different pricing. And so I have to call him to get the pricing. I know the other day he just quoted to go to Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, to defend a case would cost $125,000. $125,000 to go to Georgia. So his prices are all over there. It is expensive to hire a professional attorney. But I say it's the same analogy like fighting, like doing open heart surgery. If you need work done to your heart and it has to be opened up, you're going to get a professional doctor. That's why you need to get a professional attorney. If you get a lay person like a plumber or yourself, cutting up the bottom cavity, you're going to make mistakes and bleed to death. That's why you need to get a real doctor. The same goes in CPS fighting them. You need a real attorney that's trained in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. That's going to help you. Your court-appointed attorney isn't. It's a waste of time. They won't defend you. Their background is criminal law, and they're there to try to get over with because they got other cases to deal with. They're loaded right now with 30 or more clients by CPS. CPS loads them so they don't do a good performance. Plus, they're the ones that pay you. And my court was a kangaroo court. The judge was qualified, in handling damage claims and car accidents, but he knew nothing about family reunification or children. He knew nothing about negligence or abuse. In fact, it was a joke in court. The attorneys for the CPS, the plaintiff, were having lunch with the judge or playing golf. They were friends, palsy-wowsy, old boys school club. But I'm telling you, you need to get a real attorney that's going to navigate through CPS. When you're in CPS, it's like you're suddenly in Alice in Wonderland. You fell in the rabbit hole and met the Cheshire Cat, who tells you to go to this room and that room. And you go to those rooms and nothing gets done. You make promises to sign plans if you get your children back. You're given cohesives, where you are told to sign something. If you don't, your children will be taken to Siberia and tortured by the KGB. Now, I know that sounds sarcastic. I'm trying to get humor in there. But the CPS is what I imagine the KBG is like. Their Gestapo talks. They hurt. They do not listen.
That's really wrong.
Me and my wife went and fought CPS. We met the director who worked out of his Taj Mahal palace that looked like the Emerald City, the Wizard of Oz. It was so loaded with riches. You can see where the $1 trillion business is going. That's right. CPS is making trillions of dollars, but not for long because Doge is investigating social services and they'll soon investigate CPS. CPS will eventually, hopefully,
collapse.
Be fixed good. I know there was a senator in Georgia, Nancy Schaefer, who was a remarkable woman at age 75, who was murdered trying to protect our children. It's well documented. They tried to brush it off. That was an accident. It was a suicide by her husband. But the children have said elsewise. She was murdered, and all she did is she advocated. She wanted to do the extreme, eliminate CPS altogether. We need to keep the structure. We need to clean the house of the people, the corruptness. We need to have a board of directors, a board of supervisors. Let me go back to my people in my room here. Sometimes I get carried off sometimes, so it's really hard. Day after day, I do this twice a day, 7 days a week. I know, Betty Joe, my face is turning red again. It's probably because of the stress I go through. I thought it was maybe the sun or maybe working out too much, but my face does get red. And it's an indication of stress I go through. I know that my wife sees me relaxing and she says, your face is red. And I think it deals with stress. When you don't have the money to pay a simple bill like a bottle of cough syrup, or you don't have the money to give your wife flowers, or you don't have the money to buy a simple meal on the table, that's where it hurts. And you work hard. I've worked these last 4 weeks, and I've finally received a pittance of money on Friday. And I'm not trying to downplay it, but I am underneath a lot of stress. So, Bay Joe, I don't know. I don't know why I'm red. I've always been that way all through my life. I know that when I work out hard playing football or rugby or surfing, my face will come in red. If I'm in the sun, it'll be red. But thank you for your concern, Betty Joe. Now, Betty Joe says, I've been trying to get a hold of the foster parents to see if I could see my niece. Oh boy. Now, is your niece still in Nebraska? Because you're in Montana. I was told that I have visits with my niece. That was great. Was that the judge that said that? Do you have a copy of the paper order that says that? I was told I could have visits with my niece. I know, Betty Joe. I know how hard it is. You've been trying to fight this for years since you've been talking to me. Her brother had a child with a girlfriend. They moved to Nebraska and they're living in a tree house. And CPS investigated them and said that wasn't a suitable place to take care of children. Plus, the mother was on drugs all the time. The father was too. So her brother and his girlfriend with the child was removed. Then somehow Betty Joe was able to go down and use the ICPC, the Interstate Compact Placement for Children, to transfer the child with her to Montana. And she actually got a court order that said the mother wanted nothing to do with it, and the father was living out of his car. So she said that she'd keep her brother away. So she got the child, drove back to Montana, but then some foster parents said, oh my goodness, a 4-year-old child, they now will have problems being separated from the foster parents. You know, Betty Joe is a foster parent. She's also a great grandmother, and she's also a loving mom, and she would take care of child. She now has taken over a poor child that 2 months ago, his parents were killed in a car accident. The child was very young, and she's been taking care of that child. There was a chance that he'd be put in with foster care with one of the family members, but that turned sour. So she has retaken the child, and now she's trying to adopt a child. She is a loving person, Betty Joe is. And I'm sorry you're going through this mess that you can't visit your niece. That's wrong. That's wrong. Okay, we have now Dorothy Cook. And welcome, Dorothy Cook. And Dorothy, it's not evening here. I don't know on your clock where you are because I thought you were on the East Coast. I thought you were in North Carolina. So you have a question. Can more than one family file a lawsuit against CPS together? And if so, the time frame to be required for each family member, so how does it work? Anybody can file a civil lawsuit against anybody. There are statute of limitations depending on the case. You have to check your state. And if 4 family members are wronged by their civil rights being violated or their constitutional rights being violated, then they should file a lawsuit. All you have to do is look at the case of O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in the murder trial, but he was sued in a civil lawsuit and won. So if a social worker has violated her oath, if a social worker has infringed upon your constitutional rights or your civil rights, then you have every right to sue them for a violation of that. If they committed perjury or anything else, you have every right to do so. Every right to do so. Now, let me see here. CPS lawsuits in North Carolina. There are lots of lawsuits right now in North Carolina. Federal law targets North Carolina broker foster care system for urgent reforms. The federal lawsuit targeting North Carolina broken foster care system. There's lawsuits after lawsuits. Now, the case should be over to do the lawsuit. Now, here's some news by the Association Press. North Carolina Supreme Court upholds the law that allows 2 more years for child sex abuse suits, child abuse sexual suits. North Carolina's highest court upheld on Friday a law that gave adult victims of child sexual abuse 2 additional years to seek civil damages, rejecting arguments that the temporary window violates constitutional protection for those facing claims that otherwise could no longer be pursued in court. Now, in a case involving a local school board sued by 3 former students years after an ex-high school coach was convicted of crimes against team members, the state Supreme Court ruled the General Assembly was able to enact a key provision with the 2019 Safe Child Act that was signed by then Governor Roe Cooper. So you look up that Safe Child Act. It all depends. It all depends. It all depends. Now, Dorothy Cook, I hope that helps you out. And M. Krista Renoza. Did Vincent publish a book for grandparents on visiting kids? Right. Vincent has published a book, and I've been advertising on every live stream. It's called The Grandparents Guide for Adopting Your Grandchildren. It's a step-by-step guide geared for California. Now, that step-by-step guide is very useful because grandparents have rights. All kinship have rights. So the book is $9.99, and you can call into 888-888-6582 and talk to the receptionist. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you there and ask for that book. Now, if you use my discount code of PACE, capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, 50, you get 50% off. That's PACE 50. And you can purchase the book. It's good for also parents and other states. So it's well worth checking out. So you call in to 888-888-6982, or better yet, I'm going to show you a web link that takes you right to the book. Here it is. To get the Grandparents Guide and other resources, go to stan.store, /attorney VWD. That's Vincent Davis. Now, don't forget to put the HTTPS : / in front of stan.store. In fact, I need to fix that. So let me see if I can fix it. So, Christina, go ahead and get that.
Oh man.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay. There, now I fixed it so it has the https:// stand store / attorney Vincent W. Davis. So hopefully that works out for you, Christina. It's on my screen. I just typed it in there, Christina. Can you see it? I know you're in Facebook. Um, let me see if I can. You should be able to see it when I type it, but let me see if I can copy the link. No, it won't copy this. One of the downsides of this program. Um, it's on the page right now. https:// stan .store / attorney VWD. Good, you saw that. All right, Dorothy Cook. Is FEMA, CPS, and Social Security under the same government umbrella concerning one body of government? No. CPS is under social services. FEMA, I think Social Security is separate. Well, let me check. That's certainly a good question. I don't want to shoot from my hip here. Right. Now, the Federal Emergency Management Act, which is FEMA, is an agency of the United States Department of Homeland Security. CPS, oh, they got the wrong CPS. I got to spell it out to Chad. That's the problem. There's several CPSs out there. Just like I know with Doge, there's several out there. The FEMA and the Children Protection Service are not under the same government. FEMA is responsible for disaster management and recovery, and it's under Homeland Security. While CPS focuses on the well-being of children and families through educational supportive programs, and is part of Social Security. Social Security, is all underneath the Health Administration for Children and Family promotes the economic placement here. The organizational chart here. Let me see the organizational chart will help me. The U.S. Department of Human Health and Human Services is you have the secretary, then you have the office of the secretary, the office of the external affairs, then the office, the operating divisions. All I know is that in 62, the government passed a law that said that the Social Security would organize an entity that would protect her children from neglect and abuse. And that was in 1962. So they are a part of Social Security. And Social Security and social services and CPS and FEMA are all under separate. So if that helps you all, that is good there. Now I'm going to put my phone number up. Hopefully someone would like to call. I'd love to hear from you. There's my number, and you can call in. Hopefully I'm trying to answer the right questions in there. Betty Joe, I'm not forgetting you, but if you have a court order paper, all you have to do is show them that you have visits with your niece. Now, that paper that shows that you are going to get your niece, again, you need to have handy. This has been an ongoing battle for Betty Joe, who's been fighting it now for months and then months and months and months. Good. Thank you, Dorothy. That's a good question. I'm glad I'm able to help out some of you all there with your questions. Now, there's a thing called the child welfare system. Now, all U.S. states created a specialized child welfare system agencies in the 1960s and the 1970s. The CWS goals are protecting a child's safety, finding permanent homes if children must be removed from the homes, maintaining placement and stability of children in or out of home care, and promoting children's well-being. CWS's responsibility involves a series of steps of reporting, screening, investigation, and service delivery. A minority of maltreatment reports are substantiated. Many states offer alternative response option for lower risk families that provide a family assessment instead of an investigation. Case workers completely comprehensive family assessment work with the family to identify strategies to achieve family goals. Only a small portion of children removed from their homes. Well, I don't know if that's true because there's over 1,500 people that I know, including myself, the child was removed, they weren't in danger. With the goal, whenever possible, of reunifying the children with the birth parents. If children must be placed outside the home, caseworkers are involved preparing children for placement, supporting and monitoring foster caregivers, searching for alternative caregivers, working with birth parents and children towards a unification. I see that, but I don't see the CPS systems doing that, the child protection systems don't work towards unification. In fact, in 1994, President Bill Clinton signed into law the Incentive Act, which gives CPS systems, child protection system, a bonus of $35,000 from the government if they get adopted into foster care. That is terrible. That's terrible that they get that incentive. If children must be placed outside the home, the caseworkers' roles include preparing children for placement, supportive and monitoring fosters, searching for alternative caregivers, working with parents and children towards reunification. I read that again, I cannot believe. And planning a permanent home if children cannot be reunified. I mean, if a parent is physically abusing a child, or they're doing drugs, or they're doing illegal things with their children, no supervision, nothing, and they've given a chance to rectify their problem, then they shouldn't be family reunification. But of the 1,000, over 1,500 some people I've talked to here from all 50 states and from 22 countries, there is a simple problem or simple misnomer. So I really, I read this and it's hard for me to think they mean reunification. And planning a permanent home if children cannot be reunified. It's been studies shown the best parents are the biological parents. So they should be raised by the biological parents. Now, if they're not feeding the child or they leave the child alone for a week or, other terrible things, yes, the parents need to be taken out of there. Now, it says CB services on outcomes such as maltreatment, reoccurrence. If maltreatment's reoccurring, yes. Yet research has found effectively, empirically, supportive interventions for the CWS population through implementation of ESICs, which is intervention, is not yet widespread. We advocate for the necessity of the child welfare system and the need to keep more about how to help people involved with child welfare. We also urge for the view that child protection is a community responsibility requiring partnership between all the professionals and the lay people. The child welfare system is CPS. It is CPS. It's one of the same things. Now we're getting close to the end of my live stream. I don't know, Betty, if what I told you will help you. If you have the court papers, show them to the foster parents. Mail them a copy from Montana to Nebraska. Mail it certified so you know the letter got there. And who told you can't go home visits with your niece? Was it the foster parents? They're the ones that were the problem in the first place. And you can certainly call the police to enforce visitation or a social worker. If you have the court papers, that's what you need to use, Betty Joe. And I hope Christina Reynosa gets the book. on the grandparents' guide to adopt their grandchildren. It's an excellent guide. And Dorothy Cook, don't give up. Keep fighting. Civil lawsuits can be filed. They're very costly. I know I wanted to do a civil lawsuit, and it's going to cost a $50,000 retainer. Now, FEMA, CPS, Social Security, and social services are definitely different from one another. FEMA is in charge of federal funds to help people in the event of a disaster get back on their feet. The Child Protection System is an entity that is supposed to protect our children through abuse and neglect and help do reunification. Social Security is supposed to help with the disbursement of the money that they've collected from your paycheck over the years. I have 60 years of Social Security taken from me, and they pay me once a month. The amount is based, I get the max amount you can get with Social Security, which is a blessing. But that Social Security takes care of my rent of my place. Nothing else. I still have to work a job to buy my wife a rose or to buy her cough syrup. But now I am either misguided or very confused about how they get paid. I thought if you work a week, the following week you get paid. I thought that's the premises of why you work. And you paid in a timely manner. Not have to beg and beg day after day after day of getting paid. I need that money. I've accumulated enough money now to buy myself a new computer. But I can't go purchase the computer because I don't have the money. I have money now to work on my car. I need rear brakes. My rear brakes are gone. I need my transmission worked on because somehow it's caused me not to pass my smog check. It's been 2 years I've been trying to fix my car. It's going on the third year now. In fact, today, after this live stream and my 2 hours of phone calls, I'll go to the Department of Motor Vehicle and find out why I cannot get my stickers. I agree, Dorothy. It's funny. What you see on paper and what you read is definitely a mistake. That's why I'm encouraging everyone to call Doge. Now, Doge is a government entity. Doge is a government entity that was set up by Donald Trump in January. And its purpose, this Department of Government Efficiency, is what Doge stands for. Department D-O of G Government E Efficiency. .gov. That's the website. https:// www.doge.gov. They are investigating all government agencies. They found where someone has paid over $385,000 of false unemployment benefits. They are finding a lot of government waste. So I think it's a good thing, but how they're doing it may not be the good thing. And, finding out government waste, which will help us because every 4 months, our government runs out of money and we have to figure out how to handle the money. So that's why we're trying to investigate. So please call Doge. Now there's two very important numbers. 202 area code 456 111 or 202 456 1414. Now, the area code 202 is the White House. And so those are legit numbers, and you certainly can reach and tell them about how awful CPS has been, how they're taking trillions of dollars from the federal government, how the money is taken from the federal government, given to the state, and then from the state, given to the county. There's no board of directors. There's no supervisors. There's no accountability. So you need to call them and tell them how great and how it does. Okay, to get to the site, it's doge.com. doge.com. And you want to go PS colon / www. Which is the World Wide Web, doge.gov. And then after that, put phone numbers, and you come up with the 2 area code 202 phone numbers, because that will help you. That will help you. And that's another way you can fight. Now, I've gone over my time. It's now been over an hour. I need to go back to do my PNC calls. I want to thank Dorothy Cook for calling in with your questions. I'm hoping I was able to help you out with your civil lawsuits and Doge and other things. Christina Renoza, I hope you get the grandparents guide. And thank you, Christina. And then I have Betty Jo from Montana. I do hope you have that paperwork with the court order that says you have visitations. Mail a certified copy to the foster parents, and you should be able to visit your your niece. Visit your niece. Now, Lou Doit is glad to meet you. I don't know where you're from, but thank you very much for calling in. Christopher Wilson, thank you. And I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'd love to see you, Christopher. And again, if any of you want to be a guest on my show, send an email to grace@vincentwdavis.com and you can be on my show. Remember, if you call in or you're a guest on my show, you get a free 15-minute Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. I want to thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. And yes, you can call me Queen if you wanted to hire Mr. Davis. I'll talk to you about that. I'll be making my calls. So yes, you can call in Queen. So anyway, I'm ending my live stream. Keep fighting for your kids. Do not give up. God bless you. I'll see you all tonight at 7 p.m.